So I own Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear. Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear now is like a all-inclusive archery shop. We've got 36 lanes in there. We have a pro shop with some good brands on the compound, and I've been a traditional specialist for the last 25 years. Started my business that way. I have a store with between 500 and 600 longbows and recurves in it for sale at any one given time. I am a level 4 NTS archery coach. So I've been through the high-level, elite coach developmental program at Chula Vista, California, and obtained my level 4 certification there. That says that I've had this education, this extensive education in coaching, and there's about 180 level 4 coaches in the country. I'm probably one of 2 that teaches people to shoot a bow off of a shelf. In other words, I think Arnie Moe is another fellow that likes longbows, or normal, teaches us normal guys, us Joe bow hunters like myself, just average guys. So that's what I've done. I've gone to the target world for a very high level of education in shooting a traditional bow so I could get good, and then through my business I've had a chance to develop myself as a coach because I get to teach this stuff every day, and I have for the last 20 years. So that's kind of my background in education and archery coaching. So I've been a traditional bow hunter since the mid-'80s and a bow hunter since 1976. Pretty normal protocol. I want to give a beginner some basic information where we don't have to make big corrections. I want to give a beginner some information to make movements so he protects his shoulders from repetitive motion injuries. I'm going to give him some basics. I'm going to tell him that the most important position in archery is the holding position right here. I'm going to show that beginner the importance of skeletal alignment across your body like this, the basic T position. I am going to trick a beginner into a back tension release. I'm going to teach the beginner to get into this position, rotate his elbow around the back of that string, and then we're going to do a drill that's really corny, but it's really effective in both tricking that archer into using back tension and tricking that archer into making a release that's subconscious. In other words, I don't want him to open his fingers. I want the string to blow through the fingers from the brain sending a signal to your flexors for relaxation. So we're actually going to do a little drill the very first time we shoot. We're going to visualize a golf ball on his shoulder. We're going to show him what a hook looks like, where he should place his string. We're going to have him complete an aim, and in a very rapid speed movement, we're going to have him catch a golf ball on his shoulder as a visualization. So we're going to pretend the thumb is invisible. The golf ball is going to come through the thumb and snag on the finger, so this guy is not going to open his fingers. He's going to tell his brain, yes, I want the string to go through, but he's going to keep his hook, and he's going to make a rapid speed motion to catch, or a rapid speed motion to the follow-through position, the finish position. That's going to be a first lesson kind of thing. Now, I've just tricked him into 3 things. I've tricked him into seeing an aim, letting the aim go to the subconscious, in other words, just look at it, and then focus on tension at the follow-through position. So I've got him to separate the aim and the activation of his shot. Critically important, do not attach the release to the aim, or target panic soon follows, loss of control. I have taught him to get into his back, his lower trapezius muscles, because I've given him direction of movement, all right? And then I've taught his brain, we've tricked his brain into developing a subconscious release motor program where your brain sends a signal to the flexors and the string just pushes them by, and the fingers spring right back into place. So this little dumb catch the ball drill has gotten a beginner to do some pretty high-level stuff by accident. And then I'm going to just give them some simple lessons on how we aim a bow, whether it be, I'm going to set them up in a gap. I'm going to probably go 3 under with a high anchor. I'm going to want that arrow, the pitch of the arrow, to become up into his vision so it's relevant to an aim. We can also try instinctive aiming, just looking at a spot, finding holding position, going through the shot activation movement, and see how well his hand-eye coordination aligns that arrow impact point with what he's looking at. So that's kind of a basic first lesson. I'm going to give him some stuff where he could walk out of my shop, be in decent form actually. It'll look like good form, and give him some tools to have some success early on. And then if he comes back for individual, some more detailed instruction, we've got a foundation under them that works well with what I'll teach them next. So that's what a first lesson looks like right there, bud. So I've got a program that I developed called Solid Archery Mechanics. It is a 5-hour online, highly detailed course, and it basically goes from the beginning of form through the elite level of performing an archery shot. Both the physical and mental management that you have to do to perform an archery shot well with a recurve bow or a traditional bow. There's some snippets in there that also apply to compounds, because really archery form is archery form. A bow is a bow. So if you are a good compound shooter and you want to try traditional archery, if you will bring what you've learned about compound shooting to the traditional world and apply a shot sequence or apply the steps of a shot you do with your compound to a traditional bow, you will do real well. A lot of guys that come from compound shooting look at shooting a traditional bow in a lot different way than it really should be. They think it's yanking a damn heavy bow back to your cheek, burning a hole in a target and letting go. And you know, it can be that simple, and that is a lot of fun, I'm not gonna lie. And you will get good for a while, but then some automatic processes are gonna take over your brain. Your brain is gonna link the release of the arrow to the fact that you're aimed, because the subconscious take care of the release, because your conscious mind can do only one thing, and you're gonna be drilling in on aiming. That's what's gonna be occupying your conscious mind. The release is gonna happen subconsciously, and efficiency takes over. And pretty soon, not only does it go from aim, release, and then it goes aim, release, and then it goes aim, release, and then aim, release, and then pretty soon you're gonna be pulling that bow back, and your brain's gonna see aim and it's gone. You've lost control over the string entirely. So back to that drill, catch the ball drill. That teaches them aim, let it go, focus on shot activation. What do you do with a compound bow? You hit the wall, you come into anchor, you center up the peep with the side housing, you put the pin on the target, and if you've been trained, you've got a back tension movement or a slow shot activation movement till that sear breaks and the bow goes off. If you'll treat a recurve in the same way, you'll have a lot of success. In other words, get in here to anchor, get into your back, you see your aim, you just watch your aim to keep it, let it go, and start into increasing tension aimed at the finish position, you'll probably shoot well in a pretty short period of time. If we add a trigger, a psychological trigger like a clicker, I've developed a new one that I just got a patent on. It's in the grip that sends a signal for release. If you use a release trigger, then high accuracy follows and a high amount of control follows. In other words, a release trigger is something that triggers a subconscious release of the arrow that you can't anticipate. So it could be as simple as setting up a feather real close to your nose at anchor. You see your aim, here we go, and we start applying back tension till the nose touches your feather, your face, it triggers a release. That acts sooner or later. It doesn't take 2 to 5 shots for your brain to link a subconscious release to that feather touch. And then the shot activation starts feeling like your compound. You're just into increasing tension, touch, go, and it goes off basically as a surprise. So it's a management tool for target panning. But there's other ways to do that. So I ask really good hunters, what we'd call a gamer, that question all the time. It's like, what are you thinking when you're on the 3D range when you're shooting? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you actually thinking? And they'll tell me. And then I'm gonna say, what are you thinking when you're shooting an animal? What do you mean? What are you actually thinking? So to try to make this, I'm a pretty long-winded guy, to try to make this a little bit fast, I want to train a shot sequence. I want to train most of the physical movements in my shot very cognitively, so that when I turn those things over to the subconscious, they run appropriately. So I don't want to be thinking a lot, but I do want to always remember to be cognitive in the end of my shot. So there are like 4 things I put into a shot that's under pressure. And it's this simple, because all the rest of my shot runs pretty well subconsciously, because I drilled it that way. So I'm gonna take a breath in on the draw, and I'm gonna obtain holding. And then I'm gonna ease about a quarter or half a breath out to help me relax into my back, and I'm going to see my aim, and then I'm just going to look at the aim. And then I'm simply going to increase tension, and that's where my focus is a subtle increase in tension until I get my little grip activated trigger to go off, and I'm just staying in tension. I'm looking at the target, staying in tension, and I'm not listening for it. I'm not thinking about it. I am thinking about applying tension that's aimed at my finish, and that's it, while I look at what I want to hit. If it's a long-range shot where I'm using the arrow, yep, I'm just watching that arrow tip float over the place, just like you watch a pin if you're shooting a compound. If I have an instinctive aim, I'm just looking at the spot I want to hit, and I'm thinking 50-50, strong and smooth, here we go. And I just talk myself, keep pressing, keep going, keep going, keep going, click, boom, that click happens, the release happens. And as long as I produce a shot in that mental, with that mental blueprint, it's gonna be a good shot, I'm telling you. So I know to make a good shot, I know I just have to think of those 3 or 4 things. And that I practice. And I always, like Joel Turner says, I seek that pressure. I seek distraction, so I've trained myself to go through that little mental blueprint like Joel Turner talks about every time, especially under tension. That is shooting with confidence. If I'm just burning a hole in a target and shooting and hoping that it's good, that's shooting with hope. But if I have a place for my mind to go where I just walk myself through those 2 to 4 paces, focusing especially on that tension at the end, that's shooting with confidence. And nowadays I can make a shot under confidence, with confidence every time, even when I'm all jazzed out because it's an animal I want to take. So what we've done, and I just got the patent approved, so now I can get it out there. We've had dies made for little deformable pieces of spring steel that we sandwich in between a material and that we can stick on a grip. And then we place that deformed material, that little, I'm not going to call it a clicker because it's really not a clicker, but I'm going to call it a trigger. It's like a button. You push it and it pops, right? We put that thing on the grip somewhere to align on a hard, place your hand towards the bottom of it. And placement's very critical. You don't want to make it too easy to go off. You don't want to make it too hard to go off. You want to know it'll go off with pressure, so you don't want to be thinking about it. You know, you need to know it's going to go off as long as you stay in pressure, but you don't want it to go off too early either. So you just experiment with where you place it on your grip, and then the shot sequence is very easy because you obtain your aim, and then you start applying tension, just like the expansion phase of a shot. It forces you into a proper archery movement or tension, just like we should, the expansion phase of a shot. So it keeps you always shooting under increasing tension, because the biggest shot killer of all is shooting under decreasing tension. If you lose tension, in other words, if you think release, your mind goes to this, you're going to lose tension. When you lose tension, you're going to lose alignment, and your front alignment's going to come off, and for right-handed archer, you're going to have a right-handed miss. But if you're simply focused on tension to the front and back tension to the back, smooth and strong, all I've got to think about is looking at the spot, just looking at it, and then just applying tension, keep going, keep going, keep going, and just talk myself through it. That thing pops, the release pops subconsciously, money. So on the back side, this is double-sided. This can be peeled back for the stick material. This is an extra piece of double-sided tape, so we pull that off, we place it on the grip, and we experiment with placement. Once we have perfect placement on the grip, we'll just outline it, pull the big piece of tape off, and then the whole thing is stuck to the grip. We have a little round one like this, we have rectangular ones like this, and we have about 3 iterations each depending on the shape of your bow, shape of your handle. If you have a very flat handle, and so that your handle rests on it like this one here is fine, because on a flat surface that will deform and cause a tactile signal and an audible signal both. Same with this. So this one's bridged on the tail end. This would be for a bow with a little bit of a curve to it. We have to make room so that can deform. On rounded grips, that's the tough ones to fit, so we bridge this up. We put a little accentuators in here. Those are other versions. So These, within a month or so, are going to be available through Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, rmsgear.com. And we're going to send out an hour shooting video with these things to put value added. So your first one's going to be a little expensive, but then the replacements are going to be very inexpensive. So you can put them on your other bows, and then you'll have a registry number where you can buy them at the lower price of individuals. We're going to put a lifetime guarantee on these things. If this comes apart or fails for any reason, we're just going to send you a new one. These can be mailed in envelopes. Your replacements are going to be very cheap. There's going to be a cost of a letter to get you a new one. Just ship me the old one, I'll ship you a new one immediately. That's the way we're going to approach these. So I'd say this is end of January. By end of February, with the thumb drive or our lesson DVD, however we're going to do that, or an online code you can get in, we'll have that ready to go for an archery lesson, and then a lesson on how to place these on your grips. And then the failure points, same thing as any trigger or clicker. There's mental failure points that are common. We'll describe those and how to get past them. So it'd be a pretty valuable archery lesson to go with this little device here. So new on the market, say end of February, RMS Gear is going to have these ready to roll for guys.